I'd like to call this meeting of Brooklyn City Council to order. Mary Jo, will you do the roll call?
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Here.
Andy Selhertz.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Mary Belbeer.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Sue Grodick.
Here.
Ron Van Kirk.
Absent, excused. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that we'll have, at the request of Councilwoman Pucci, she'll do an opening prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your abundant blessings, and thank you for the privilege of being involved in this useful work and for the honor to serve our community. I ask that you graciously grant us a sense of the welfare and true needs of our residents, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in our lives and joy in our task. This we pray in your name, amen.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is reading or minutes of February 10th, 2020. Approval, motion and approval for those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
To approve the minutes, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
The next item is, if anyone is going to be the public content for the public session. If anyone has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please come forward and give your name and address and you will be recognized. Please limit your time to 5 minutes or less.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Earl Bloom. I live at 4720 Forest Edge Drive. I'm here to ask everyone to support issue 25 on March 17th. This is a renewal levy for our school system. This levy is a renewal from a levy that is set to expire in 2020. Since it is a renewal, it means no new taxes, it is not a tax increase, and it will continue to provide the much-needed funds of approximately $2,175,000 for the next 7 years. The board decided to go for 7 years to spread out the request for school levies, and we will not see another request for over 2 years. I'm sure everyone is aware of the issues affecting school funding by the state, and in Brooklyn's case, we receive even less per student than most other public schools, private and charter schools. The bottom line is, Brooklyn is put in a position to provide the majority of financial support for our children's education by taxing themselves through various levies. Providing good educational opportunities for our children is one of the most important responsibilities that we face in Brooklyn, and the passing of this levy is crucial in maintaining our children's education. For those of us that follow our children in the school system, we are aware of the great successes our children are obtaining in academics, music, art, sports, and vocational. Just to name a few, the superintendent at the last board meeting said that over 400 students qualified for the merit roll or honor roll. In music competition recently, our students received outstanding ratings. We had a young lady representing Brooklyn in the Girls State Wrestling Tournament this past weekend. And the list of these many achievements goes on and on. Our students are having great success, and we need to assure that our children will have the educational opportunities to continue these achievements. To those interested in learning more about what our children are doing in school, I encourage you to go to the school website at www.brooklyn.k12.ohio.us. On March 12th at 9 a.m., The Brooklyn senior citizens are invited to the annual complimentary breakfast and preview of the Brooklyn High School Theater production of Newsies. This will be followed by public performances for all through Saturday night. This play will involve over 100 students as actors, musicians, stagehands, and more. Based on previous productions, this will be an outstanding and enjoyable play showcasing the great talent of our students. For those seniors interested in attending the Thursday morning preview like myself, call the school at 216-485-8112 to let them know you're coming. This is a great opportunity to see our students perform, but an opportunity to meet some of the school administration. This play, Newsies, is another example of our children's great achievements and educational opportunities. This passing of this levy is crucial to providing these continued educational opportunities to our children. In addition to providing our children a solid foundation in academics, they need to have the opportunities to participate in social, sports, music, and art activities. The passing of this levy will assure that these activities can be continued. Our children are making us proud with their many successes and achievements. Let's make them proud of us by passing this levy and continuing to provide the educational opportunities that they need and deserve. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. John Wagner, 4825 Bentwood Drive, Brooklyn, Ohio. I want to thank everybody tonight because I didn't have a lot to say, but I've had 3 questions already tonight, so I have a little bit more to talk about. We are moving forward. We are just about the end of our application process, probably about another 3 weeks. The good news is we're 112% of goal, which means we're 12% over what the county's expectations were. Well, there's bad news to that. The bad news is that we're not going to be able to select everybody, probably, and that's disappointing. The good news is that we're so well represented that we're going to be sure to get great counts here in Brooklyn, and I want to thank you for all of your enthusiasm. Second part that I want to talk about is this mobile questionnaire assistance that I touched on last week a little bit. It's a new program. It's going to have hiccups. But the good news is, Tom's already emailed me with some ideas and some support that he would like. Alex asked me a question tonight. Barbara asked me a question tonight. Even though I technically run the program, I'm not the one that's going to be making the selection sites and the dates. But that doesn't stop you from emailing me and saying, hey, I've got a location, we've got a meeting. I think it's a great opportunity to talk about this or to assist folks that could use some help with this. So don't hesitate to continue to contact me, all right? As I did with Tom, I moved it on to Nada, who is going to actually be overseeing the actual decision-making on where we're going to set up these mobile questionnaire assistance programs, sites, and we'll continue to follow up with that. So don't hesitate. Again, we are part of the government. There will be hiccups, but we'll work through them, all right? Now, the other good news is we are not in what's traditionally called a low response area. So that simply means that in the past, this area has done a pretty good job of responding to the census needs in the questionnaire. So we're not going to be the first community that they're going to hit. They're going to go into the areas primarily in the inner city, which traditionally less than 70% of the population does respond. So again, it may take us a little bit longer. And again, Tom, I'm going to try to get you to be an exception. We'll try to get that thing scheduled that you asked me for. So continue to send emails. I think everybody's got my email or my telephone number. If you don't, I'll be glad to give it to you again. One of the things that we do want to push is that last census, we missed over 1 million babies. People are very quick to count older children themselves and other people in the house, but for some reason they forget about that little child. So again, we're going to try to make everybody aware of that. There's going to be a huge campaign talking about those kinds of issues, and bear with me. We'll get this thing done. We'll get through whatever hiccups come along, and we'll accomplish it. So again, I want to thank everybody because you're the ones that made it successful. I begged, you responded, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to reports of committees, commissions, and boards. We'll start with the Finance Committee. Finance Committee met this evening at 6:15. One of the first items was to look over and approve the 2020 road program recommendation. It was provided by GPD Group from Dan Gerson. There were 5 bids that were open on February 14, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. The bids came in from Chagrin Valley Paving in an amount of $823,630.78. From Crossroads Asphalt Recycling Inc., bid amount of $874,818.60. Roniak Paving came in at $882,100. Barbicus Paving LLC came in at $915,919.55. And CA Agresta Construction Company came in with a bid of $1,010,130.30. The engineer's estimate was $1,001,617.75. Looking at the bids and everything, it was the opinion of the engineer that Chagrin Valley Paving is the lowest and best bidder for the 2020 road program, and that the city should enter into a contract with Chagrin Valley Paving in an amount of $823,630.78. This was approved by the Finance Committee and moved on to Council. Next item is legislation, ordinance 2020-10. It's authorizing the mayor to enter a contract agreement with Interstate Gas Supply, Inc., also known as IGS, as a supplier of natural gas for city buildings. We met with Scott Rafferty, who we meet with every few years. He goes out to bid for the city to get the best bids at the time as of today. He came up with a bid of $2.99 per MCF. City is currently also with IGS. The current price is $3.34. Savings is approximately $600 per month or $8,000 per year. The contract will be for 3 years, commencing on or about June 2021 at the rate of $2.99. This was approved by the Finance Committee, and it's going to be recommended for emergency adoption, since this is something that we need to get adopted and passed today. The next thing is ordinance 2020-11, is first reading, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1,130,000 of notes. This is for the Rodone Road and Rodone Alley. Mr. Raguse can explain that a little bit in his report. Other item is ordinance 2020-12, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $2.1 million of notes in anticipation of issuance of bonds to pay for a cost of extending American Road. Similar project. Mr. Raguse can explain that a little bit in his report. A new ordinance, and for finance, that is it. For a committee of the whole, we also went over enacting chapter, ordinance 2020-13 is the first reading, enacting chapter 731 of the Brooklyn Codified Ordinances for donation boxes. This will be working with the building department to actually get permits for the donation boxes that you may see at various corners as Tiedemann and Memphis, across the street in Derrymont. Try to have a little bit better control on it and policing action on it. Ordinance 2020-14 is first reading, is amending various sections of the administrative code to maintain employee provisions in accordance with the city policy and procedurals manual. It's more or less a housekeeping to get what was passed by contract and employees handbooks to make sure it matches up with the codified ordinances of Brooklyn. Next report will be from the Recreation Board, will be Councilman Tansky.
Thank you. City of Brooklyn Community Summer Camp 2020. Ages 5 to 12 will be held at the Brooklyn Rec Center at St. Thomas More, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. beginning June 8th through August 14th. Camper fees $120 weekly, $90 for second and third child. Before and after care is also available. Swimming and skating lessons are available throughout the summer for registered campers. Registration is now open. For more information or to register, please go to online at www.brcactivityreg.com or in person at the rec center. Valid email address is required. Emergency medical forms and swim permission forms must be submitted prior to the first day of camp. The Brooklyn Recreation Spring Volleyball League is for grades 3 to 4, 5 to 6 co-ed. Residents $60, non-residents $65. Registration will run through March 1st. Practices begin in the week of March 11th. Games begin on March 28th. Volunteer coaches needed. If anyone is interested, please let us know at the time of registration. Registration online, again at www.brcactivityreg.com. Brooklyn Recreation Spring Soccer registration is now open and will run through March 1st. SL Soccer is for ages 9 to 15 with games beginning in early April. Mini Cane Soccer ages 3 to 8 begins on April 4th through May 23rd with games played on Saturdays. Many Canes in-house instructional leagues will play all games practices at Brooklyn Fields. Contact the Rec Center at recinfo@brooklynohio.com. For more information on any of these programs, contact the Rec Center at 216-351-5334. The next Recreation Board meeting will be held on March 16th in the Rec Center meeting room at 7 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next report will be the Domestic Abuse Commission, Councilwoman Ryan Shockey.
Thank you. The commission met last week. We discussed the introduction of House Bill 508 at the State House, which would allow victims of domestic violence to receive unemployment compensation, which is similar to what 36 states around the country already have. This bill was introduced by your very own State Representative Bride Sweeney, as well as State Rep Jack Serra. We also had guest speaker Megan from the DVCAC, who explained to us all of the different services that the Domestic Abuse and Child Advocacy Center provides. Whether you experienced domestic violence 2 decades ago and are still working through the emotions and troubles that it brought, you're going through it now, or you know someone who is going through it, the DVCAC is there to help. From advocates like Maria, who serves Brooklyn, to support groups, counseling, and even shelter, the DVCAC can help. They are changing their name next month, and I'm really excited because it is a handful. But they will provide the same services and same great support that they already have. If you or someone you know might be experiencing abuse, please reach out to the DVCAC at 216-391-4357 at any time. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the Planning Commission with Councilwoman Sue Grodick.
Thank you. The next Planning Commission meeting is March 5th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And it's a rather large agenda. There's 9 items, so I'll try to read them quickly but clearly. A request for Sprint for a wireless telecommunication facility co-location for Sprint at 0 Memphis Avenue. A request from Blink Signs for wall signs for national safety apparel at 1 American Road. A request from Brilliant Electric Sign for a freestanding tenant sign for Ridge Park Professional Building at 7575 North Cliff Avenue. A request from Sakona Electric and Sign Company for sign packages, a sign package for University Hospital Brooklyn at 4370 Ridge Road. A request from Direct Image Signs for an internally illuminated all sign for Mini Miracles at 8235 Memphis Avenue. A request from Kimley Horn and Associates Inc. for final site approval for a Starbucks drive-through at 10330 Cascade Crossing. A request from Advanced Installation and Sign for a sign package for Starbucks drive-through at 10330 Cascade Crossing. A request from Premier Brooklyn LLC for lot consolidation at 4650 Tiedemann Road. A request from Premier Brooklyn LLC for site approval for Ruan at 4650 Tiedemann Road. And that should be the agenda on March 5th. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the legislative update, and then we'll also have the school board liaison reports by Councilwoman Mary Bellbeer.
Thank you. An important bill, House Bill 308, was just passed by the Ohio House by a 72-22 vote. The bill allows first responders who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because of their job activities to qualify for workers' compensation benefits. The Bureau of Workers' Compensation has always only covered physical injuries and mental conditions caused by physical injuries. House Bill 308, sponsored by State Representative Tom Patton, would change that, stating post-traumatic stress is a mental injury for which an accompanying physical injury is not required, and arguing otherwise is an affront to the countless number of men and women who struggle on a daily basis with the demons and tragedies, the death and destruction they have responded to and witnessed over their careers. If it becomes law, it is estimated that the increase in claims and costs in the first year will be about $44 million, with the potential increases in premiums to public employers. The bill is fully supported by law enforcement officials, firefighters, other emergency personnel, and the Fraternal Order of Police. The bill is now scheduled to go to the Ohio Senate for consideration. A good omen for the passage of the bill is that Senate President Larry Obhoff, a Medina Republican, says he supports the legislation. The school board met last week, Tuesday, February 18th at the 6 p.m. in the media room at the high school. It was very informative to hear some of the new initiatives that the middle school is trying to implement at the middle school. Some are Student of the Month, which encourages students to become leaders; Golden Spoon, that's trying to establish proper etiquette in the dining hall; 3, Right to Read with the theme of Jungle Out. Students were able to wear PJs to class. Another fundraiser where the students sold 450 tumblers. The money will be used for incentives for the students in the above programs. One significant subject that was discussed was the ongoing progress of the teachers' contracts. It had been 18 months that they had been working without a contract. One teacher spoke at the meeting and thanked and praised school board member Rob Slattery, stating with his efforts they were able to negotiate a tentative contract. Many of the student football players put together a video of the football team expressing their concern for the coach whose contract was not renewed. Although many on the school board did not agree, they still commented and commended the students for putting together the video and expressing their views. Mr. Glykoff then spoke, mentioning Right to Read Week, the athletic booster Night at the Races that's coming up, the school musical Newsies, and inviting the seniors to see the musical. School board member Rick Singer talked about a program he became aware of called Seeds of Literacy. He expressed that there are many parents who are illiterate and cannot help their children, whether it's with homework or filling out simple forms. Also mentioned was that the school district and the Brooklyn Acres have a service hour program. Brooklyn school students will come and help out and gain needed service hours. Please submit your name, address, and phone number to rslattery@brooklynacres.com to add your name to the list. Thanks, Rob, for helping out and organizing this service. School board members Rick Singer, Rocky Neal, and Bonnie Barczyk were recognized for having over 10 years on the board by the Ohio State Board Association. Congratulations and thank you. And lastly, there were 261 students who made the honor roll at the school and 182 students who made merit roll. Congratulations to all the students for all your hard work. Next school board meeting will be February 26th at 6 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next report, the last report, will be the Fair Housing Committee, and it'll be Councilwoman Ryan Shaki.
Thank you. The Fair Housing Review Board met today to go over a fair housing ordinance to ensure that we'd be prepared if a complaint were to come up. Thanks to Ron, Mark, and Mike for coming in today, and for David Kolsar for coming in early. That ends my report.
Next, we'll have council reports, and this evening we'll begin with Councilwoman Ryan Shaki.
Early voting has started. With the primary being on St. Patrick's Day, please take advantage of early voting or voting by mail if there's a chance you won't make it to the polls on March 17th. In addition to the primary candidate elections, there are also some very important local issues on the ballot. I encourage all residents to vote yes on issue 25, the Brooklyn School Levy Renewal. I look forward to talking at a roundtable next week with 6 representatives from European countries about local government in America. This will be my second speaking engagement with the Cleveland Council on World Affairs, and I look forward to another engaging conversation about what local government looks like in our country. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you. I'd like to share that for the 10th year in a row, Cuyahoga County Public Library received the highest overall rating in the Library Journal's annual Index of Public Library Services. This is also the 11th year that CCPL has received the 5-star rating. A little disclaimer, I do work for the library. However, my children and I were longtime customers of our Brooklyn branch long before I was ever hired. We are number 1 in circulation and customer visits, number 2 in electronic circulation and public computer usage, and number 7 in program attendance and Wi-Fi sessions. One point I would like to clarify is that people frequently think that the library is governed by and run by the county, and this is not the case. The library is a separate political subdivision governed by a 7-board board of trustees who are appointed for 7-year terms by the Cuyahoga County government and the Court of Common Pleas. Board members serve without pay, and they are responsible for promoting the highest level of public library service to residents of the 47 communities that are served. If you have not been to our Brooklyn Library in a while, I would encourage you to check it out. There is far more than you can imagine. In addition to the traditional library items for books, DVDs, CDs, and audiobooks, you can also download ebooks, e-audiobooks, and also stream movies and music. We also offer homework centers, quality programs for people of all ages, and a career center to assist job seekers. I just want to echo my support for issue 25, the school renewal. We can't say it enough times, it is a renewal, which means no increase in your taxes. And as Ms. Ryan Shaki mentioned, the election officials are very concerned with the turnout because of the primary this year being on St. Patrick's Day. So please vote early, either in person or by mail. And for those who are interested, there was an interesting article on the plastic bag issue in today's issue of Crain's Cleveland Business. After our last council meeting, I did participate in the safety committee meeting, and one of the topics was the dog park. I thought we had a very good discussion. I personally do not believe that the proposed locations that were suggested are suited for a dog park because of their close proximity to residential homes. I shared that dog parks are typically located in one of 2 types of areas. One is an extremely large recreational area that is not close to homes. The second is in an industrial area. This has been discussed for about 10 years. We previously have not been in a financial position to be able to pursue this. I do think that our community would benefit from having a dog park. However, I think it's very important that this is not rushed and we take enough time for us to do our due diligence. I suggested we form a committee and visit some of the other dog parks and take a good look at possible areas in our city that would be a good fit. I think some areas to look at are potentially Hurricane Alley property, if it could be located not too close to the residents on Ridge. We did purchase the house on Memphis near the Lindale border. I'm not sure though if the topography on that land is conducive to a dog park or not. There's also a lot for sale on Associate Avenue, which is an industrial area, and maybe possibly in the lower park if it could be located far enough away from residents' houses. I look forward to working together on this to see if we can bring this to fruition for our community. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Mrs. Councilwoman Mary Bellbeer.
Thank you. Well, once again, I can only say please vote for the levy. It is vital that this happens. And Mr. Blom, I don't know what we would do without you. You're such a wonderful advocate for it, for the school, and it's wonderful to see that. I know I've been kind of out of the loop. You know, my kids are already grown and onto higher education, but I do encourage those that are kind of on the fence, visit the school, listen to the band, see what's going on there. I can only say some of the things that are happening there, I totally forgot when I went to the school board meeting and I heard the teachers talk about things. They're doing wonderful, wonderful things there. And I can only hope one day I can partake in them when I have grandchildren. But it is wonderful and it is vital that you do vote for it, especially if you're sitting on the fence on whether you're going to vote for it or not. Check the school out and see what's really happening there. There's a lot of great, great things in our school. Well, Wednesday marks Ash Wednesday. It marks the beginning of Lent for Christians. Many local churches are offering services and speaker series this time, up until Easter time. I encourage practicing residents to check out your church for some of the programs. Not only do they have Lenten suppers, but they do provide soup for the soul. Tomorrow is Punchki Day. I hope everybody gets a punchki. Go to your favorite bakery, or maybe you even make them. I've already made 200. So enjoy, and that completes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Councilman Kevin Tansky.
Thank you. I know this is old news, and I guess I'm just going to go back to the mayor, because I know she's been interacting with the school board on the use of that land on Hurricane Alley. But those mounds still remain there. We have passed levies. These residents are paying dearly for those levies that have been passed. But those mounds that are still sitting on Rodin, that the residents do also vote for these levies and passed it, that this is starting to get ridiculous. Those residents on Rodin should not have to look at that, period. So if you can, Mayor, in your emails back and forth with our school board, some of them which are newly elected, can you ask them what's their intent on removing those mounds? I would really appreciate that. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is Councilwoman Sue Grodick.
Thank you. Good evening. Most of us would agree that strong community needs strong schools and that schools benefit from community support. I'm proud and pleased with the support our city extends to our school district and the families with young children. In my short time on council, I've seen our city and school district work together on several projects, big and small. The schools and city are working together to extend our day camp and expand the youth basketball program and introduce youth volleyball. Our city is bringing back Safety Town. Both the city and schools continue to work together on the Safe Routes to School program. Last month, Councilman Ron Van Kirk spoke up and out about the Ed Choice program in Ohio and its potential ill effects for the Brooklyn schools. On the other side, school board member Rob Slattery is working to help organize high school students so they can earn community service hours by helping our senior citizens with their yard work. And last week, our city was well represented during Right to Read Week with several of Brooklyn's police and fire officers, as well as our mayor and city councilman, Selchertz, joining us as guest readers. I hope we continue to grow these opportunities to support each other and our residents, both big and small. I'd also like to congratulate our wonderful library. This program, this was news to me. A little disclaimer, I am a heavy user of our county library, and if you have never lived anywhere else, you may not know what a prize our library system is. I haven't lived anywhere else, but I talk with teachers often, and I'll say, when they're like, we need books, we need resources, I'll say, well, go to your library. They're just waiting to help you. And I find out not everybody has a library system that is waiting to help them. We are so, so fortunate, and so fortunate in Brooklyn to have the branch that we have, but to have the county system we have. Well-deserved 5 stars. I would give it 10 if somebody asked me. And last, please support issue 25 with your yes vote. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I've only got a couple items. As everybody else has been saying, please support issue 25. Kathy mentioned about maybe the apathy or whatever. It just, usually you see a bunch of yard signs and everything. Everything's just kind of quiet, but you don't know if it's scary or not. There's only maybe 25 signs out. Usually there's 100, maybe up to 200. So maybe people are taken for granted, I don't know. Wish that passes. There was a meeting I talked about with First Energy and Real Term Energy. It was supposed to happen today. All the data from First Energy was not available yet. It's being worked on. We're going to have a meeting this Friday. We'll go over the data and I'll present the results to the city administration and to council at the next meeting. Mr. Raguse also will be at that meeting, so we'll talk about that. As Ms. Balbier mentioned, it's Lent and Easter. Please, go visit your churches, all this and that, but also visit your churches possibly on Fridays. We all have our favorite places to eat and fish fries and everything else, but also maybe try to support your local parishes as well. I mean, it kind of makes some money for them in their budgets. A lot of them are possibly tight on money, and just a little extra help to them. One of them is Dr. Martin Luther Church on Ridge Road. They'll be having fish fries from February 28th through all the Fridays on March 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. And one last thing is we had a letter or a note dropped off by resident Dennis Petro asking about trying to get trees and everything. Actually, there was an article on Facebook from Keep Euclid Beautiful, and we also kind of copied it with our city Facebook page for Brooklyn and also on our Instagram. Thanks to a grant, help us grow our tree canopy. Thanks to a grant from Cuyahoga County, Brooklyn planted over 135 trees in 2019, and this spring we'll add 85 more to expand our tree canopy. Brooklyn's tree canopy cover is currently less than 20%, but we are committing and improving this number. Trees create energy savings, help filter stormwater runoff, clean the air, and improve property value. If you're interested, they are selling, the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District is selling native trees through March 24th. Go look at their website. They're also selling flower packets for pollinators, native flowers. They're roughly about $12 or $15. They'll cover 100 square feet or up to 250 square feet. So if you have any interest in that kind of horticulture or agriculture, check out the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District. And that concludes my report. Next we have the mayor's report. Mayor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mr. Sellards. As Ms. Grodick said, I had the pleasure to go to the school this past week for the Right to Read Week. Typically, I speak to kindergartners or first graders, which I'm a little bit more comfortable with because I have a first grader myself. But I had fourth graders, which was an experience. And so they threw a book at me. I didn't know how to pronounce some of the French and Italian names in the book, but it was a great book. It's called Her Right Foot. And I just had to pass it on because it was a terrific book about the creation of the Statue of Liberty, how it was designed, different facts about the Statue of Liberty, and at the very end it talks about what we stand for as a country, talked about liberty and oppression. It was just a terrific kids book, so I went and bought it for my daughter because I just want to make sure that she's well stocked, but pass it on if you have grandkids or kids to buy books for. Also, this past week we sent out letters to those residents and commercial tenants who are behind on their property taxes. We do this not to shame anybody or point the bad out. We really try to do this for the benefit of linking you up with the county to get on a payment plan or to learn about resources. There are people who qualify for, say, the homestead exemption who don't sign up for that, so you get a reduction if you're a certain age and a certain level. And so we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of all the resources possible to you if you fall into certain categories. So if you received a letter, don't hesitate to reach out. It does come from our finance director. We do have the county's information on there. We just want to link you up with the right resources. It will stop the penalties on the property taxes if you just make contact with the county, and that's what we're really trying to help you with. We don't want those penalties to keep adding up on the properties. Also, to go in line with that, we are holding a benefits fair in our senior center for seniors and those with disabilities. It is March 27th from 10 to 1, and this kind of follows that same theme of what I'm talking about. Multiple utility companies have different resources for seniors and those with disabilities to help with bills, to minimize them. All of our city departments will be there, so if you have certain questions about, say, permit fees, or say in the police department, our do not knock registry or anything like that, there'll be over 30 different vendors there from all over the county for resources for seniors. So if you're a senior or disabled, please come out March 27th from 10 to 1, or please pass it on to neighbors. We hope it's very helpful for people. This is our first time doing that. The manager for Fairfield Inn stopped in my office today. I know a couple people asked when they'll be opening. The projection for the owners is July, but him being a little bit more realistic, taking part in the opening of 3 other hotels with Marriott, said that Marriott's projected opening is the beginning of October. So somewhere between July and October, we will see a new Fairfield Inn in our city. Also, the State of the City will be held on March 12th this year. TRG Multimedia and the Old American Greetings, One American Way will be hosting it. If you're interested in participating, check out the Chamber's website to buy tickets. And again, that is at noon, March 12th. I do recap some of the information as I did with Coffee and the Mayor last Friday, but I really like to look forward and take a look at some of the trends that are going on in our community. I wanted to highlight a few things for you. But just so you know, all of the annual reports for last year are uploaded on the city's website. It did pass Mount City Council a few weeks back, but anybody from the public's interested in looking at any of the annual reports, that's all updated on the website. So a few factors. We did see a 16% increase in calls for service in our police department. Not all of these are calls that you may think just they're super busy, but we did move to Chagrin Valley Dispatch and they code differently, so now we're including warrant recalls in that. So some of that's just a coding difference, but we did see an increase nonetheless. Also, with our partnership with Parma Heights and our animal control officer, it is going wonderfully. But it was a good thing that we've moved this way. We did see a 28% increase in calls for animals this past year in Brooklyn alone. All of our major crimes except for 2, we've seen a decrease in Brooklyn. One of those things I want to specifically talk about, thefts, mostly from vehicles. And after having meetings with the police department over the course of the couple weeks, the officers They tell me the vast majority of these thefts from vehicles are because people are leaving their cars unlocked. This isn't a Brooklyn issue, this is an everywhere issue, so just a reminder, lock your car doors if your cars are sitting out on the street or in your driveway. People are coming up driveways, they'll steal whatever they can easily access without you even knowing about it, so just make sure to lock your doors. And felonies have gone down dramatically. Obviously, if major crimes are down, we're going to see felonies down, so that's a good thing. We had about 2,000 EMS calls and about 3,000 requests for service in our fire department, a little bit above last year, but not much. Also, for mutual aid, I know this was a hot topic during the election. So as far as fires go, we gave mutual aid 39 times and we received it 4. I mean, mutual aid is just imperative with all cities now. If you were able to see what happened with Rocky River yesterday, we were actually out to eat yesterday, and there's no way to get around it for any city not to have mutual aid. When you have a fire like that, you cannot control it. So we are very lucky to have great mutual aid partners, and that's going to be a relationship that is continuing and ongoing, and it's just mandatory now as departments have decreased and the span of control for fire departments is a certain requirement. Our property loss was down 40% from fire loss, so that's a good thing. In our building department, we had about $56 million in construction last year, which is a record-breaking year. It's great news. $32 million of that was the Medical Mutual build-out at American Greetings. Medical Mutual will be moving in starting next month with some of their employees and then filter in that. Their construction is not done. They're a little bit behind schedule, but they want to get their employees started to move in because there are a couple floors that are done. We saw new businesses coming like Menards, Cleveland Clinic, Tap Packaging, Raising Cane's, TRG, and we have a couple other ones that are in the process of getting occupancy permits now. And then 2 more things I want to mention. Our service department started the mulch program last year, so if you were one of the residents who took advantage of it, we took our compost and we delivered mulch right to your house. That seemed to be a popular program, and we're going to continue to do that. And we had about $2.5 million of construction, as we talked about. A portion of our construction was on today's agenda, and we'll continue to put a high priority with that. So again, all of our annual reports are available online, so go check them out if you have any other additional questions. And then the last thing I was going to talk about, to answer Mr. Tansey's question, I did touch upon this in the committee as a whole, but my first email a month ago to Dr. Glykoff did mention the mounds, and I did make a suggestion as part of the creek restoration down in Lower Memorial Park that he talk to West Creek Conservancy as they have that machinery there to see if they would take the dirt away for them. I don't know where they are at that conversation. West Creek Conservancy needs access through the hurricane property to get to the creek property. So that was a possibility. I did express that we will want to see some kind of remedy this year. And then during this meeting, Mr. Verba informed me that the school did contact them for 3 names of contractors for that purpose. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of movement on that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next we'll have reports of directors. The only report tonight is our finance director, Mr. Raguse.
Good evening. I just want to touch up on Councilman Southard's report from the Finance Committee earlier tonight.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I must have turned off. Thank you very much.
Got it? All right.
I just want to touch on Councilman Sutter's report from earlier tonight. So it wasn't my fault. I don't have to do anything up here, do I?
No.
Good evening. Everybody hear me? I want to touch on Councilman Southard's report from earlier tonight regarding the Finance Committee, and specifically ordinance number 2020-11 and 2020-12 pertaining to our current bond anticipation notes. So what the first piece of legislation is to allow us to issue debt for an amount not to exceed $1.13 million in relation to the Rodone project from a couple years ago. So currently we have debt still outstanding from the Rodone project of $1.13 million. What this legislation does is allow us to reissue the debt for the maximum amount due, for the maximum amount current at $1.13 million in accordance with bond law for the state of Ohio. So that's what this legislation does. And as we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting, the intent is to pay down $290,000 of this debt as a similar approach as last year. And then the next piece of legislation, 2020-12, pertaining to the issuance of debt for the American Road Project, the $2.1 million. Similar thing, we issued debt last year for the American Road Project, the $2.1 million. This allows us to reissue the debt that's due next month at that amount. However, our approach, as we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting, is to pay down 20% of it, or $420,000, and that'll leave a balance of $1.68 million on this debt. And that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, may I be recognized? Could you just specify that the money's going to not come from us, but from the TIF?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as outlined in the financial forecast that was provided to council, we expected to have TIF revenues that will pay for this debt, for the full $2.1 million of this project and interest costs. So that's where the payment will come from. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have the bid approval for the 2020 road program. Have a letter from GPD Group. It's addressed to Mayor Katie Gallagher. 2020 road program recommendation, dear Mayor Gallagher. On Friday, February 14th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. There were 5 bids. Engineer's estimate was for $1,617.75. Chagrin Valley Paving came in at the lowest amount and was determined to be the best and lowest bidder at $823,630.78.
I move we award the lowest and best bid to Chagrin Valley Paving for $823,630.78.
Second.
To approve the bid, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Next in old business is ordinance 2020-7. It's on second reading, amending various sections of property maintenance and rental licensing code to provide for the regulation of transient rentals. In new business for legislation, we have ordinance 2020-10. It's on the first reading. We're going to request suspension and adoption. It's authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Interstate Gas Supply, Inc. as a supplier of natural gas for city buildings, whereas the Council of City of Brooklyn has the opportunity to bid and contract for natural gas rates for city buildings, and whereas the city will save a significant amount of money on the cost of this natural gas during the next 3 years by contracting with Interstate Gas Supply, Inc. Now therefore it be ordained by the Council of the City of Brooklyn, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio. The mayor is hereby authorized to enter into contract agreement for 3 years commencing on or about June 2021 with IGS as a retail natural gas provider to furnish natural gas for city buildings in such quantity as needed by the city at a rate of $2.99 per MCF.
May we recognize, do we need to amend this? Mr. Butler? With the pertinent information, and also, we didn't have MCF, we had DTH in our, but I think it's MCF.
I think for the record, to be clear, we should amend the information that we have, but let's check on that second question, MCF versus DTH.
In the contract, it's actually MCF.
Yeah.
So the ordinance reads DTH, but the contract is MCF.
So MCF. Just amend.
Should we read each item we're amending?
I don't think record clear
Okay.
as to what the amendment generally does.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we amend the ordinance to include the updated information that was just read by Councilman Selchertz and also change the DTH to MCF.
Second.
To amend, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Introduce by all, suspend the rules as amended.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
To adopt, as amended, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 2020-11, as was explained by our finance director, Tom Raguse. It's on first reading, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1,130,000 of notes. Then we have ordinance 2020-12. It's also on first reading, providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $2.1 million of notes. We have, after that, ordinance 2020-13. It is on first reading, enacting Chapter 731 of the Brooklyn Codified Ordinances, donation boxes. And this is to deal with the donation boxes that you find at, as we mentioned before, at various street corners, parking lots, etc., to actually get a more compliant program with them. And then we have the last ordinance for today is 2020-14. It's also on first reading, amending various sections of administrative code to maintain employee provisions in accordance with city policy and procedurals manual. It's more or less housekeeping that to get what's in employee handbooks and contracts to match up with the codified ordinances. At this time, are there any additional comments or items from the council or mayor?
I move we go into executive session for the purpose of personnel matters to interview a candidate for economic development director with the applicant and the mayor. Anyone else, mayor? Okay.
Second.
To adjourn to executive session, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Motion to call the meeting back to order.
We don't have to do that. You're in order.
Okay, we're in order. All right. Like to anybody have any comments, questions?
Move to confirm Jeremiah Rowan for economic development director.
It's actually economic development director, city planner. Second.
To confirm the appointment, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Sue Grodick. Thank you.